Follett Press for giving us an opportunity. I want to start off with showing this. This is what I wanted to display tonight. There was an article or an interview that was posted last week with WLAF, to which we were not invited to speak on behalf or respond to. And so the interview that was done by Mr. Hurwitz, the code enforcement officer, made several statements, of which I have read the statements that he made that were either completely false or incomplete. So I will gladly share a copy of this, but everything in red from his interview with WLAF was false or incomplete. So I would like to, one at a time, very briefly, address these statements. Mr. Hurwitz stated in his article that by chance he wandered into the church on December the 2nd. His date is incorrect. Mr. Hurwitz actually arrived on November 25th, and I saw him looking through our windows and willingly invited him into the store to look. Mr. Hurwitz stated that we did not have the required permit. I informed Mr. Hurwitz that Mr. Faust had informed us both in 2019 as well as the fall of 2020 that we would not require any building permits at any time unless we were either moving or altering a structural wall, to which the licensed contractor that has performed all of these modifications within the building is present here right now. Mr. Hurwitz also informed me that day that we could not even apply for a building permit unless we had submitted unto him architectural drawings. He stated that we came later that day to apply for a building permit. He was incorrect. We did not show up at the office until the following Monday on December 2nd. That was our first meeting. He also stated that I came with a building application. I did not come with a building application. Mr. Hatmaker and I from our church arrived that morning at 7:30 a.m. to have a meeting with him to submit the architectural drawings that he had instructed us the week before that we needed. Later on that day, after that meeting with him, I would apply for a building permit. He stated he was gathering information for the permit on December 2nd when we arrived. Mr. Hurwitz was not gathering information. As a matter of fact, he stated both to myself and Mr. Hatmaker that he had absolutely no records on file in this city building regarding our building at all, and then went on to explain to us how there are no records in the city for nearly any building within our city limits. He stated he discovered the building did not have a firewall in his investigation. His only information regarding the firewall was observed during his visit on November 25th, in which he stated that neither of the walls in our corridor of the building was a rated firewall. During the meeting on December 2nd, I provided him with the information that I had gathered on November 26th. I contacted the previous building owner as well as the previous building manager, as well as the state fire marshal's office, and as well as the architect who designed the drawings in 2001 when the daycare in the building was opened up. All of these verified that one of those walls in that corridor was indeed a UL 495 2-hour burn wall. Mr. Stewart explained to us on November 25th that all we required was either a 1-hour wall and a sprinkler system or one single 2-hour wall. I now provided him information that we had a 2-hour burn wall, but beyond that, on November 29th, I invited Fire Stop Technologies to come and examine the adjacent wall in the hallway, and they also certified that that wall as well was a UL 495 2-hour burn wall. I now provided Stewart with confirmation that we had not only the single wall that was required, but we had 2 UL 495 2-hour rated walls separating the store from the church. He stated that there was no fireproof doors. One of the walls in the corridor has 4 doors, all 4 of which are tagged and labeled that the frames as well as the doors are indeed burn doors or fire doors. He stated that upon further investigation, he discovered the sprinkler system had not been inspected. This was not the result of a further investigation, but information that both he and I discovered together on November 25th during his visit. He stated in the article that the last inspection was performed in 2004. The inspection tag on the unit actually says it was inspected last in 2003. This shows the system not only had not been inspected, it had not been reviewed for a duration of 22 years. The system had not been reviewed for 13 years prior to us owning or occupying the building, although a minimum of 13 businesses had come and applied for business licenses in the city building and operated in that building during that time. He stated that in an attempt to bring the store up to code, he requested drawings from a registered architect. Mr. Hurwitz did not request further architectural drawings until January the 6th. He requested on 2 occasions that drawings be submitted by January the 2nd and stated before witnesses that the drawings did not need to be professionally drafted due to the previous submitted architectural drawing that I provided him on December 2nd. One of the 4 witnesses present was our city mayor. I informed him both times, speaking of Stewart, as well as a third time via text message on December the 10th that I would be drafting the drawing myself. He did not object, not one single time. I did not receive a request for additional drawings to be registered by an architect until January the 6th. He stated he received an email from me on December 23rd. Once again, his date is wrong. He received an email from me on January the 2nd. In that email, there was correspondence between myself and the owner of Firestep Technologies dating back to December 23rd, where I had ordered the doors and the frames that he was asking to be added to the adjacent corridor wall. He stated he had not received an invoice. I provided the corresponding emails as well as an invoice on January 2nd. He stated he hadn't received any of the requested items as of January 2nd. As of January 2nd, he had received notice of completion or order for all previously requested items. He stated that the store had failed to comply. The store had complied with all requests that he had previously given. He stated we had closed voluntarily, and this is one of the primary things that I really want the people of Eufaula to know. He stated that we had closed voluntarily prior to receiving a cease and desist. I was also told this by other officials. If I do not receive a certified letter, then I'm not required to close. But the problem with that is the entire purpose of having a certificate of occupancy. You cannot legally operate within the allotted space without a certificate of occupancy. I have emails from January the 2nd as well as another on January the 6th where Mr. Hurwitz messages me in email verifying to me that we do not have a certificate of occupancy and we are not permitted to operate. The closing of this store was absolutely not voluntary. With that being said, I will address one other thing that he stated in the WLAF article. He was looking out for the safety of the public, and he also hit on that same subject in the Eufaula Press interview that he did. So I will reiterate what I just shared just a moment ago in the meeting. Mr. Hurwitz states in the Eufaula Press article that the sprinkler system was not operable, when indeed the system, as far as any of us know, has always been operable at all times. The water has always been on, there have been no leaks, and the gauges have been reading the entire time. The specifics about the sprinklers are not certain because it had not been inspected, but neither had it been reviewed in 22 years, 13 years of which we did not even own or occupy the building. In a meeting with one of Mr. Hurwitz's superiors on January the 6th, we learned that when the duration of time since the sprinkler inspection had come to the attention of the proper authority, Mr. Hurwitz had been instructed that the sprinkler's recertification should take top priority. However, when we received Mr. Hurwitz's list of necessary improvements on December the 2nd, the sprinklers were deemed the least important by him, stating that the sprinklers did not even require being addressed during the initial 30-day certificate of occupancy. His in-person review and emails both state that he would grant us an additional 30-day temporary certificate, at which time we could address the sprinkler system updates and inspection once everything else had been taken care of. His list of improvements also follow a November 27th meeting that I had with the owner of a company that installs and repairs and maintenance of sprinkler systems, in which he asked Mr. Hurwitz on speakerphone with me present that if he could promise that within 1 week that he would inspect the system and have it completely up to date and running, would Mr. Hurwitz allow us to open the store as scheduled, to which he responded no. So I want to make this in our first detailed public statement. I want everyone to know exactly where we are. If this were codes, the thrift store would be open. Thank you for your time, and thank you everyone for showing up today.